God won't give you more than you can handle. Do you believe that? The supposition, even the shape of the statement, gives the lie to it. Who usually uses that cliche? People who aren't in any immediate trouble facing somebody else who is, which should tell us something about whether or not it's a good thing to say. As a comforting moment in the face of the pain of another. You know, well, I'm doing pretty good, but God won't give you anything you can't handle. There's something else terribly wrong with that line. As you speak it or are spoken to, it's that first part, God won't give you. What is the exact understanding of the line if you take it at face value? At face value, that line says, God's dumping all over you. Let's see if you can handle it for him. That's what it says. It's not what we intend when we say it to each other, for heaven's sakes. I'm not arguing about that. Your intentions are good. I know that. We come up on it, well, God won't give you. But God's not giving you that problem. It's not God's business to go around making life difficult for people. Where we are determines how we hear some of these things. Is it heard as something that comforts people or challenges people, or does it create more absolute agony in people? How many of you have seen the movie Lincoln? Spend your money. Go see it. One of the lead characters in that movie is Mrs. Lincoln. Mary Lincoln, if you know anything about history or anything about Mary Lincoln, she was a tragic, tragic figure in almost every way. She had sons die. She suffered an entire life with severe depression and other assorted mental illnesses, and she had a dead husband and a dead president in the same person. So imagine a good friend coming up to Mary Lincoln soon after the assassination and saying, well, it's a tough spot, Mary, but God won't give you more than you can handle. Comforting words, don't you think? Visit a concentration camp in Germany. See pictures of what happened there, the degradation of fellow human beings beyond belief. Imagine that you are a chaplain in those hellholes. Well, you know, it's tough out there, but God won't give you anything you can't handle. As I read this and thought about that, and I've thought about that cliche long before this series, I thought about North Dakota. With a grandfather who homesteaded out in western North Dakota in 1907. And having done some work, not enough, and research on pioneer women, who were an amazing group. It has been estimated that at one point in the homesteading years, women in the western part of this state had the highest rate of depression ever recorded. Does that surprise you? Alone, distance, husband gone, days even to go to town, having children, probably too many, bearing children alone, burying children alone. I heard another story after the 12 o'clock service of one grandmother of a woman here who had 10 children, buried 4, 2 of them without anybody else around. I had a relative who was responsible for REA coming to northwestern South Dakota. You and I can't imagine darkness like the prairie. And in fact, those single pole lamps that some of us remember seeing as kids not only lit a barnyard to find your way from house to the various other places, it reduced the incidence of depression among prairie women. Not because it lit up a path, but because they could see that they had a neighbor. They weren't all alone out there. Well, I know you got 10 kids and your husband's been gone for a week, you know, the cows ran off, dog ate the cat. He got it. But God won't give you more than you can handle. Really? Does that console anybody, or is it just our way of saying, I gotta say something and hope it's right? Or do we begin to realize that there are other ways of consoling in the group, other ways of community-fying, ways to comfort people who are hurting so badly? Somebody said, well, what in the world are we supposed to say, Pastor Tim? The best start is nothing. The best start is nothing. Words are marvelous things, and unfortunately, being a preacher, I love them too much. By accident, I learned that on internship in St. Petersburg, Florida, about 100 years ago. I was making hospital calls, not knowing what I was doing much there either, and there was a set of grandparents in the waiting room of this hospital in St. Pete. I went over to greet them and asked them if they were having difficulties. They said, no, we're fine, but our son is having exploratory surgery. Don't worry, it's okay, you can go make your rounds. So I did. Came back, couldn't find them. I'm a curious person, so I went hunting. Found them in a family room, just destroyed. Their son had died on the table during what was supposed to be a nothing exploratory procedure. I was 23 years old and dumb as a door. I sat there, I didn't know what to say. Thank you. I went back to my supervising pastor, told him about the incident, and he said to me, Timothy, if you're going to be a pastor, you always have something to say. And God was good in a very brief moment. At least I listened for a brief moment. And I'm lucky I got ordained. Because I said to Art, no, Art, you always have something to say. It was one of the few times I was right on internship. So what shall we do? What shall we do with this? What if we rephrase it? Instead of God doesn't give us what we can't handle, what if we rephrased it? God helps us handle what we've got. I like that. The world dumps on us at some time or another. I know of no one who gets through this without feeling that pain, hurt, depression, loss at some time in life. If you have, I want to see you afterwards because I'm going to tell everybody else how to do it then. God helps us handle what we've got. Didn't Jesus come to do that? Isn't that part of forgiveness? Isn't that part of healing? Isn't that part of holding? God helps us handle what we've got. Isn't that why we hold hands? Isn't that why we stand by an aching person in absolute silence? They know we don't have anything to say, but they know you're there. As sure as we know that Jesus Christ stands with us in the hurts and pains and the hardships that life handles us, if God doesn't do that, then what are we sitting in this place tonight for? You do that well. I've watched you do that. I've watched you care for each other, lift each other up. And during children's sermons, at least, hold hands so that we are less alone. The world isolates us. God calls us together to be in community and says there's going to be crap out there that you can't handle. But that's okay.